Alright, so moments ago, Behavior tweeted out that a brand new developer update for an upcoming patch and what those changes entail. Of course, if you like videos like these where I go over the updates and news and whatnot, I do stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/AbsolvedLIVE, and liking the video and subscribing on YouTube helps me on that front as well. Alright, so first and foremost, with the 8.6.0 update today quickly approaching, it's time once again to give you a look at the notable gameplay changes you can expect from the public test build next week. Read on for the details. They're going to be changing how the mending status effect works, decrease the soft mending time to 10 seconds, it formerly was 12, and decreased altruistic mending time to 6 seconds. We know that Deep Wound can be a frustrating mechanic to come up against as it slows down the pace of the game for survivors. By reducing mend times, we hope to reduce this friction slightly. We want players to feel the urgency of triaging this effect too, but once they make the choice to act, we don't want them to feel pulled away from the game for too long. The Legion will be receiving a change as well. The fatigue cooldown time will only be 2.5 seconds instead of 3. The movement speed will be a little bit faster than it was. Feral Frenzy will last an extra second. The cooldown is 5 seconds shorter. Movement earned during Feral Frenzy when you hit a survivor is increased a little bit, and several add-ons are adjusted, and the reasoning is to account for reduced mending times. We've adjusted Legion's kit to ease the downtime between power uses by extending Feral Frenzy and adjusting its cooldown and movement bonus. The goal is to provide Legion with a slight buff to their ramp up as they weaken survivors, giving them more opportunities to lean on their mobility. Then, with the adjustments to fatigue, they'll be able to get back to chases quicker after Feral Frenzy ends to close the deal. These changes will make Legion feel like more of an active and mobile threat, reducing the reliance on a more passive status effect. And then we have some changes for the Xenomorph. Increased tail attack charge time to 0.35 seconds, it formerly was 2. Increased the tail attack charge sound volume for survivors. Reduced missed attack cooldown to 2.5 seconds, formerly was 3. Increased the killer instinct range when exiting a tunnel to 16 meters. Decrease the time it takes to get out of the tunnel to 1.5 seconds, so when you come out of the little tunnel thing, it'll be significantly faster. Increase the amount of fire needed to burn the Xenomorph out of crawler mode to 175, almost doubling how long it'll take. Increase delay before the Xenomorph's heat starts to dissipate to 15 seconds. Formerly was 1, so it will take longer for the heat to go away for Xenomorph. So while it does take a little bit longer now to knock Xenomorph out of its power, they can't just walk away from the turret and have it instantly go away anymore. Decrease the Xenomorph's heat dissipation rate to 2.5 seconds, was 25. Adjusted several add-ons to align with these changes. In its current state, Xenomorph's tail attack tends to be a little bit too difficult to dodge. With a short window between wind-up and attack to give survivors more of a chance to anticipate and react to it, we've adjusted its charge time and made the wind-up louder. To balance this out, we've reduced the cooldown on misses so Xenomorph can keep pressure up. We've also found that turret impact can be inconsistent, providing huge value at high skill levels and be very ineffective at lower levels. Rather than having turrets act as an immediate threat that dissipates quickly, heat buildup will remain for longer. This should help give a little more value to smaller bursts of heat that aren't enough to knock Xenomorph out of crawler mode, as weak turret placements can still build up over time. To ensure the sustained heat isn't too punishing, we've balanced it with a higher heat threshold for Xenomorph. We also did a pass on Xenomorph's add-ons to buff some of its weaker, less used ones, while realigning some turret-based add-ons to fit with the above changes. Chucky will be receiving a change to Hidey-Ho. The cooldown will be going down to 12 seconds, as it currently is 14, and reduced time to reach max speed after Scamper. We know that the good guy's utility and mobility in chases has historically been one of his core draws. While recent changes have made him less oppressive at lower MMR ranks, we've made some adjustments to help get him back into action quicker and improve movement feel, particularly accelerating back up to speed quicker after the Scamper animation ends. This one is actually quite substantial right here. We'll be receiving terror radius adjustments. Multiple killers will be having different terror radiuses, including the Hillbilly's terror radius is now going to be 40. Formerly it was 32. He's going to be matching Wesker now. I guess since he's a high mobility killer, similar to Wesker, they want to give survivors a bit more of a notification that he's coming. The Blight's terror radius is also increased to 40 as well. The Pig's terror radius is decreased to 24. It was 32, and the Pig actually released her terror radius. I think it was 28 meters. So now they're dropping her down to like Hag and regular 1-1-10 status. Decreased the Ghostface's terror radius to 24 meters, formerly 32, and decreased the Skull Merchant's terror radius to 24, formerly 32. Dev note, we've adjusted several killer terror radiuses to better fit with their intended gameplay styles. Killers with high mobility that can zip across the map at high speeds have had their radiuses increased to give survivors a greater chance to react to their approach. We've also reduced the radiuses for stealthy killers to better fit their playstyles. The Skull Merchant is a slight outlier here. While she can gain undetectable by deploying a drone, we felt she could still benefit from added stealth support. New features. If one of the following conditions is met, the surrender option will become available on the match details screen. When all remaining survivors are bots, the killer can surrender without a disconnection penalty. When no generator has been completed for 10 consecutive minutes, the killer can surrender without a disconnection penalty. I think that's a little bit too high. I think 5 to 6 minutes probably would have been a little bit better, because I've had multiple times where I'm waiting almost 10 minutes, but usually by minute 10 they finally do touch one. When all other remaining survivors are bots, the survivor can surrender without a disconnection penalty. When all survivors are in the dying state, the survivor can surrender without a disconnection penalty. We know it can be frustrating to find yourself in a scenario that's unwinnable when you would rather move on. To address these scenarios, as well as cases where the opposing side has been fully replaced by bots, we've added a match surrender option. We're currently targeting the most disruptive cases, but we'll continue to monitor player behavior to identify if there are further opportunities on expanding this option. And for all you plot twist enjoyers out there, we see you. This will not trigger the surrender option. The Forsaken Boneyard realm with a shack focus map. So I guess they're adding a new Forsaken Boneyard variation. And the updated tiles on the map have been improved to aid in navigation. So these are some of the screenshots, I guess, of the new Forsaken Boneyard. I might be reading this wrong. But they're at least changing how the tiles are. Like, this tile was never on a map before. This one right here. We're expanding the Forsaken Boneyard realm and map pool with a new map layout with the Killer Shack at its center, featuring updated map tiles. Specifically, we've heard your feedback that Area of Crows can be difficult to navigate at times thanks to collisions with certain aesthetic elements. We've opted to remove the large bunches of branches from map tiles on this shack map, while also introducing double pallet tiles that we hope will add some exciting new loop possibilities. And then for some of the more interesting stuff, we do have some perk updates. Quick and Quiet's cooldown is being decreased to 15 seconds as opposed to the 20 that it was before. Increase the time during which you leave no scratch marks for deception to 5 seconds instead of 3. And it decreases the cooldown to 15 seconds. Formerly it was 20. Increase the time for Dance With Me, during which you leave no scratch marks when jumping out of a locker, to 5 seconds, formerly 3, or window as well. Decrease the cooldown to 15 seconds, formerly was 20. Red Herring has decreased the minimum generator repair time needed to trigger this perk to 1 second, and decreased the cooldown to 15 seconds when it was formerly 40. While these perks specialize in misdirecting the killer, we found that their cooldowns don't match their value. By reducing their cooldowns and increasing the duration of their effects, specifically Deception and Dance With Me, we hope to give these off-meta perks a better chance at value in deception-based builds. And for the killer perks, we have Knockout. When a survivor drops a pallet, if they move 6 meters away from it within 6 seconds, they gain 5% hindered for 5 seconds. Them stating that Knockout is a perk that's associated with slugging, leading to some particularly unfun game styles. We're looking to make changes to the perk whilst keeping it useful for killers. This actually isn't a bad change. If you're going against like Pre-Throw Peter, this is not terrible, actually. Then we have Alien Instinct. Increase the aura duration reveal to 8 seconds instead of the 5 that it was, and increase the duration of the Obliviousness to a full minute at 60 seconds when it previously was 20. This is actually pretty decent as well. Hysteria receiving another change. Increase the duration of Obliviousness to 40 seconds when it formerly was 30, and the cooldown of the perk is now decreased to 20. And then we have Deathbound. Shorten the range at which this perk activates to 12.84 meters. Now, if you're like me, Deathbound is one of the best perks in the game for somebody like me. And if you're like me, you will see that this is actually another insane change. Nemesis. Increase the aura reveal duration to 8 seconds. Formerly was 4. Dev note similar to the above. We identified some killer perks that have also been underperforming, boasting lower pick rates and kill rates. So we've adjusted their values to increase their viability in more specialized perk builds. This is definitely an interesting change. I don't know if they're adding a killer in the next patch or not. I assume they are. This is just everything else they're changing alongside the new killer coming to the game. I don't mind most of these changes. It makes Legion more interesting. I guess Xenomorph a little bit more interesting. I don't really care much for Chucky, so that doesn't change anything for me. Anyway, let me know what you think of these changes in the comments below. Like I said, I think they're pretty interesting. Anyway, until next time,